What if I told you the most expensive building project in ancient history was not a palace, not a fortress, not a monument to a king, but a house built for God? No army built it. No slaves were driven by whips to raise its walls. It was planned in peace, funded in gold, and constructed in silence. This is the story of how Solomon built the temple and why, the moment it was finished, no one could stand inside it.
The sun rose over Jerusalem. Markets opened. Merchants prepared their stalls. Shepherds moved along the surrounding hills. Workers carried tools and supplies through narrow streets. But for the city, it wasn't a normal morning. Inside the royal complex, however, a long-planned project was about to begin. King Solomon stood holding written plans that had been prepared years earlier by his father, King David. David had wanted to build a permanent house for the Lord. Until this time, Israel's central place of worship had been the tabernacle, a movable tent first built during the time of Moses. David wanted something permanent, a national sanctuary, a fixed center of worship for the kingdom. But David had been a warrior king. According to the biblical record, God told him that the temple would not be built during his reign, but by his son, who would rule in a time of peace. That son was Solomon.
When Solomon officially gave the order to begin construction, the largest religious building project in Israel's history began. Solomon immediately reached out to a neighboring ruler. Messengers were sent north to Tyre, to King Hiram of Phoenicia. Hiram controlled major coastal ports and trade routes in the eastern Mediterranean. His kingdom was known for shipbuilding, timber export, and skilled craftsmen. Solomon requested cedar and cypress wood from the forests of Lebanon. In the ancient world, Lebanese cedar was considered premium construction material. It was strong, durable, and resistant to insects and rot. Hiram agreed. Phoenician workers cut the trees in the mountain forests. The logs were transported down to the coast, tied together into rafts, and floated south along the shoreline. From there, the timber was unloaded and hauled inland to Jerusalem.
At the same time, Solomon organized a massive labor system. According to the record in 1 Kings, 30,000 men were sent to Lebanon in rotating shifts. They worked 1 month at a time and then returned home for 2 months. 70,000 laborers were assigned as carriers. 80,000 worked as stonecutters in the quarries. More than 150,000 workers were involved in moving, shaping, and preparing materials. Thousands of supervisors oversaw the operation. This was not an improvised construction effort. It was a centralized, state-organized project. But one detail set the temple apart from almost every other ancient building site. The stones were cut and shaped away from the Temple Mount. Every block was finished at the quarry, so that when the stones were brought to the construction site, no hammer, no chisel, and no iron tool would be heard at the sacred location. Only placement, only alignment, only silent assembly. The structure itself followed a clear layout. It consisted of 3 main sections: an entrance hall, the main holy chamber, and the inner sanctuary, known as the most holy place. The building was oriented toward the east. Around the main structure, side rooms were added on 3 levels, used for storage and priestly functions. The foundation stones were laid first. Large, carefully cut blocks were placed to support the structure. The walls rose using stone, while the interior surfaces were lined with cedar wood.
Beams and ceilings were also constructed from cedar. Courts were arranged around the building, an outer court for the people, and an inner court reserved for priests and official temple activity. After the basic structure was completed, the next stage began. Gold. Not decorative accents, large quantities of beaten gold. According to the biblical account, Solomon used gold that had been prepared and stored during David's reign, along with wealth gathered through trade and tribute. The inner walls were overlaid with gold. Doors were covered with gold. Carved decorations of flowers, gourds, and palm trees were covered with gold. The altar inside the sanctuary was overlaid with gold. Even parts of the floor reflected gold surfaces. When light entered the building, the interior reflected it across the walls and ceilings. Specialized craftsmen were brought from Phoenicia. Among them was a master metalworker named Hiram, who supervised bronze production. 2 large bronze pillars were cast for the entrance of the temple. They were freestanding and decorative. Each pillar was crowned with an elaborately designed capital. They were given symbolic names. A massive circular bronze basin was cast. It rested on 12 sculpted oxen, arranged in 4 groups facing north, south, east, and west. This basin was used by the priests for ritual washing. 10 smaller mobile basins were produced for various purification purposes. In addition, craftsmen created tools for altar service, lampstands, bowls, and ceremonial equipment. Every item followed detailed design instructions. The project lasted 7 years. After 7 years, the building itself was complete. At the heart of the temple stood the most holy place. It was built as a perfect cube. Its length, width, and height were equal. Every surface inside this room was overlaid with gold. There were no windows. There were no furnishings except what was directly associated with the Ark of the Covenant. 2 large cherubim were carved from olive wood and covered with gold. Each figure stood several meters tall. Their wings stretched across the entire width of the room. Their inner wings met in the center. The space beneath their wings marked the resting place of the Ark. The Ark of the Covenant had been carried by Israel for centuries. It represented the covenant between God and the nation. Inside it were the stone tablets of the law given to Moses. With the building complete, Solomon organized the dedication ceremony. Leaders and elders were summoned from across Israel. Representatives of the tribes gathered in Jerusalem. Priests assembled according to their divisions. Musicians prepared their instruments. Sacrificial offerings were brought in large numbers. On the appointed day, the ark was carried into the temple. It was not touched directly. It was transported using long carrying poles placed on the shoulders of the priests, exactly as required by the law. The procession moved slowly. The priests entered the holy chamber. They passed the golden altar. They carried the ark behind the inner curtain. The ark was placed beneath the wings of the cherubim. The priests turned and began to withdraw. And at that moment, the cloud appeared. Not smoke from offerings, not dust from movement. A cloud filled the temple. According to the biblical description, the cloud represented the presence of the Lord. The priests were unable to continue their service. The cloud filled the house so completely that they could not remain standing inside. Outside, the assembly watched in silence. King Solomon then stood before the altar. He turned toward the gathered people. He lifted his hands toward heaven, and he prayed. He acknowledged that no building could contain the God who created heaven and earth. He recognized that the temple existed only because God had fulfilled the promise made to his father, David. He asked that the temple become a place where prayers would be heard. He prayed for forgiveness when people sinned. He prayed for the nation during times of drought and famine. He prayed for times of disease. He prayed for military defeat. He prayed for captivity and exile. He asked that when the people, even from distant lands, turned toward this temple and prayed, God would hear from heaven. He also prayed for foreigners, people who were not part of Israel, but who would come because they had heard of the Lord. Solomon asked that their prayers also be heard. Then he spoke words that became central to the meaning of the entire building. Even heaven and the highest heaven cannot contain you. How much less this house that I have built.
The temple was not meant to limit God. It was meant to provide a visible place where the nation could approach him. Because in the end, the temple was not remembered for its gold, not for its size, not for its engineering. It was remembered for one moment, the moment the cloud filled the house, the moment human activity stopped, the moment the presence of God overtook the building. Some structures are built to display power. Some are built to preserve history. But this one was built for worship. And that is why the Temple of Solomon became one of the most significant religious structures ever built.
If you found this story meaningful, leave a like and subscribe to Enigma Bible for more true biblical history. And one more thing, right after this video, 2 quiz videos are coming based entirely on today's story. Test how much you really remember about Solomon's temple, and comment below which Bible topic you want to see next. Stay with us because the next video will challenge what you just learned.